So I wanted to talk briefly about strings for jazz guitars. And this is debated constantly, and there are dozens of different brands and subsets of those brands that you can use that work on an Archtop guitar. And everybody plays different ones, and everybody loves different ones. So I cannot, again, objectively tell you these are the best, but I can just give you my experience as to what I like. Keep in mind, I like round wound strings. I have occasionally played flat wounds, but overall I like the sound of round wounds better. So these are about 3 different sets of round wound strings. So for over 20 years, I've used Thomastik Infeld Bebops and found them to be my favorite strings of all time. At least I did for a long time, but we'll get to that. Thomastik Infeld's there, and this is just subjective to my ear. There is a warmth, a power to the bottom end that's fantastic. There is a brightness is not the right word, but there is a ring to the top end, to the top 2 strings that's really wonderful. So I've loved them. Their problem is they're expensive. So they're 2 or 3 times more expensive than just about any other brand out there. And so once in a while, I'll go out and try to experiment with other strings, because I think if I can find just as good a string and it's half the price, that's better. For many years, I didn't find anything that I thought close. I would get some, $6 set of Diodarios and not be particularly thrilled with them and go back to the Thomastik Infelds. There are a couple brands now that I like as well or nearly as well as the Bebops, so I wanted to mention them. One brand is Pyramid Classics. I think they're a pure nickel string. Right now I'm using, let me get, you can't hear on YouTube. Anyway, I'm using a pyramid set of strings right now, a 12 to 54. 54 is the maximum I personally go. I usually on the Thomastik Infelds go 52 or 53. Now, let me back up before I describe pyramids further. On the Thomastik Infelds, the Bebops cost $20 to $25 a set. Most of the sets, though, do not come with a wound 3rd string. They come with a plain 3rd string, and I wanted a wound 3rd string. So for a while, I'd buy the set and then buy an extra 3rd string, upping my cost to $30. Seemed ridiculous. Then I thought, well, if I'm going to pay $30, I might as well try the George Bensons Thomastik Infelds, because those round wound sets are between $30 and $35, depending on if you find them on sale. They have a wound 3rd string. And the set that I used, the Bensons, are 12 to 53, which I kind of liked somehow, 53 versus 52. So I've been using those for the last year or so and like them. But again, now we're talking $30 to $35 a set. Not cheap. Just as a highlight, I cannot prove it, but it seems to me that there is no difference in the quality or the sound that you get from the Bensons versus the regular Bebops. The difference is the gauges of the set are different. Like I say, it's a 53 instead of a 52 at the low end, and it has the wound 3rd string. So I've been using the Bensons. I think the quality of the Bebops and the sound of the Bebops are the same, they're just different sets. So now let's talk about pyramids. Pyramid Classics, I want to say they're $11 or $12 a set, so they're half of the price of the Bebops. They're a third of the price of the Bensons. They don't quite have the the bottom end of the Thomastik Infelds, and maybe don't have that shimmer at the top end, but they have a balance that the Thomastik Infelds don't have. They really have a bottom to top end balance that I'm enjoying a great deal. So I like them. I like them a great deal. And being cheap like most people, I'm happy to pay a third of the price. I should say, in my modest experience, both the Thomastik Infelds and the pyramids last a pretty good long time. I usually get around 2 months. On the Thomastik Infelds, the tone lasts forever. At 2 months, either I might break a high E string, or the strings get rough enough that they don't feel very good and I want to change them. But even up to that point, the tone is still excellent, so I'm not losing tone. I find on the pyramids, the tone does, fade is the wrong word, but it isn't quite what it once was when they were brand new after about a month. Again, that's my personal experience. So, by 2 months, either way, I'm changing out the strings, but that's a pretty good long time if you play a fair amount. The third set of strings that I really like is by a pretty new company called Stringjoy. And I gave it a shot and ordered from them a year or two back. I like the concept. I like the fact that I could choose whatever gauges that I wanted to choose. And so you go on their website, it's extremely easy. They will in fact make recommendations to you if you're not sure what to do. So I actually pinged them and said, I'm not your typical purchaser, because I'm a jazz, not a rock player. And they made some recommendations, and they actually have an 11.5 gauge high E string. So I tried an 11.5, instead of an 11 or a 12, and it was really nice to customize the set. I found when I received them a couple of things. First, they're very similar in sound to the pyramids. They have a very balanced bottom to top end sound. I also found that they were extremely easy to stretch out, and within no time they didn't lose tune. So that was impressive. They also lasted a very long time, a good 2 months. And they're very similar price to the pyramids. They're around $11 for the set that I get. So I will absolutely buy more of those, and would strongly encourage anybody to at least try them out. They're not marketing to jazz guys. They don't do, I think, pure nickel. So on one hand, they kind of shouldn't sound exactly like the pyramids, but boy, they sound very similar. They're very balanced top to bottom like the pyramids. So I'm very happy because I now have 3 strings that I can get that I really like, because I can still get the Thomastik Infelds or Bebops or the George Bensons and be happy, although I paid more money. I can also get the pyramids and be very happy, pay less money, even happier, or get the Stringjoys, and I expect I'll get more of all of them. So that's my quick and dirty review. There's nothing objective here. A sound is a sound, and it's very, very subjective. But I like all the sounds of all those 3 or 4, if you count the Bensons as different strings. I like the tone. I like the length of the time that they last, and the fact that they stay in tune pretty well. They're just good quality. So that's what I have to say about strings.